With the start of the new year, I always have a tradition I like to do here on YouTube, and that is look back at my favorite books that I read in the previous year. So I do a video highlighting my favorite nonfiction, fiction, and Star Wars books. And today you're watching my 5 favorite Star Wars books that I read in 2024. Now, I should say, these are just books I read in 2024. I'm not saying they were published in 2024. Although in this case, I think all of them except one were actually published in 2024. I could be wrong on that, but I think they were 4 out of 5 were 2024 published books. So I'll go 5 through 1, and with that started, let's get started with the list. So number 5 on my list, I have a book in the High Republic series, and that is Escape from Valo by Daniel Jose Older and Alyssa Wong. This is one of the middle school books in the High Republic series. I've really enjoyed the middle school books in this series. When they first started the High Republic series, initially I wasn't even planning on reading the middle school books, but I thought with the first phase, the first one, I was like, I'll read the first one just to see what it's like, but I'm sure I'll get the rest. And I was surprised with how good they were and how entertaining they were. And this is by far my favorite middle school book for 2024. Really love the characters. Ram, who's one of my favorite High Republic characters, plays a big role in this book. Enjoyed it a lot. I've really enjoyed to see how his character development is helping throughout the High Republic series. So if you've been enjoying the High Republic series and you haven't checked out the middle school books, I would definitely recommend you do, because if you don't, you'll miss out on gems like Escape from Valo. Number 4 on my list is Inquisitor, Rise of the Red Blade by Delilah Dawson. This is the book I mentioned on my list that wasn't published in 2024, but it's not that old. It was just published in 2023. I happened to miss it 2023. I'd heard of it, but initially I wasn't sure if I was that interested in reading it, but I heard a lot of great things about it, so I decided to check it out, and I'm really glad I did. This book basically explores how somebody who was involved in the Jedi Order can become an Inquisitor. Very fascinating character study. One thing I enjoyed about the book was the main characters were characters we've never seen before, so we didn't really know what their future would be in the Star Wars series. So anything could happen in the books. We didn't know which characters were safe, which characters would die. Where in most cases when we're reading the books, you kind of know, like, all right, you know, Luke Skywalker's in this book, you know, he's going to make it. Yoda's in this book, he's going to make it. Darth Vader's in the book, he's going to make it. But the main characters in this one were characters we were just not familiar with, so it added a lot of tension to this book. And like I said, the main character, I really enjoyed Delilah Dawson exploring that character's mentality, of what they were like on the Jedi, the little bit of doubts they had about the Order even then, and how somebody who knows what they're doing can twist those doubts and turn somebody who really wants to make a positive impact on the world, the galaxy, can actually be twisted into becoming a tool of pure evil, and how they justify that self within their own mind, and then how that impacts them. And do they realize that? Are they able to redeem themselves, or are they too far gone? So if you've kind of been interested with Inquisitors and how they've been depicted in some Star Wars shows and other books, if you typically like the exploration of the dark side of the Force in Star Wars, I think this is a book you'll really enjoy a lot. So I'd highly recommend Inquisitor, Rise of the Red Blade. Number 3 on my list is Tears of the Nameless by George Mann. This is a young adult novel in the High Republic series. The young adult novels in the High Republic series have actually blown me away. In several instances, I've actually enjoyed the young adult novels more than the adult novels in a certain phase of the series. Absolutely loved this book. For a young adult novel, there are some moments in this book that feel like they're straight out of a horror movie. Absolutely tear the way they depict the Nameless. There was a very interesting twist on the Nameless in this book that I enjoyed a lot. The character Reef, who I've enjoyed, is kind of an interesting Jedi character in this series. I found him so fascinating in this book, and I really enjoyed him a lot. This book also featured a lot of Aslan, who's this very intriguing former Jedi dark character who I've been fascinated with the series, and we get a lot of him in this book. And I enjoyed every single scene with him and Reef. Their interactions are amazing and make the book themselves. And again, for a young adult novel, this has a very dark side. So again, if you're reading the High Republic series and maybe you just have been reading the adult novels, definitely check out the young adult novels. And as I mentioned earlier, I'd also recommend checking out the middle school books as well. And my second favorite Star Wars book I read in 2024 is Temptation of the Force by Tessa, Gratton, an adult novel in the High Republic series. So I guess I've hit all 3 of the main types, adult, young adult, and middle school. Loved this book so much. the exploration of how characters connect with each other in the Force are absolutely amazing. What type of relationship is possible for Jedi, and where it can go wrong, but where it can also go right. So in this book we get a lot of Elzar and Avar, two of the best Jedi characters in the High Republic series in my opinion. And throughout this series we begin this tease about this relationship they have and this deep connection they have, and basically the resistance of going farther because they're not supposed to have those types of relationships within the Jedi Order. And eventually in this book, it's like, what are we going to do? Because basically, like their relationship has become so close, they're so attached. Like they almost feel like we have to either do something or completely break apart. And that's where the title comes from, The Temptation of the Force. And like, so this book does an amazing job of exploring how Jedis can have a relationship. I think that's one thing, the Order kind of lost its way. Basically, by the prequels, we get the idea like they're not supposed to have any relationships at all. But in this book, it really explores, is it possible to have a relationship as a Jedi, a strong relationship, a strong emotional connection to somebody, but still say a Jedi, not fall to the dark side? Love this book so much. Highly, highly recommend it. It's amazing and is a perfect example of what makes the High Republic series so awesome. And my favorite Star Wars book I read in 2024 is very different from the first 4 books I highlighted. It is The Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire by Dr. Chris Kempshall. This book is a non-fiction Star Wars book set in the Star Wars galaxy, written by a historian in the Star Wars galaxy, that's absolutely amazing, that explores why the Empire fell, but also how it rose and everything that was involved in the Empire, how it worked structurally, politically, militarily, what we know about Palpatine's use of the Force, that type of stuff. For somebody who's a big history nerd, but also a Star Wars nerd, this is like the perfect book for me. And I think one reason it works so well, the real-world author of it, Dr. Chris Kempshall, who's a big Star Wars fan, is also a highly respected historian, and that's his main career. He's a very, very well-known historian. So somebody with his expertise in history and how to write a history book, taking that to Star Wars and adopting the identity of a Star Wars historian and writing about the history of Star Wars from within the viewpoint of somebody in that galaxy is absolutely fascinating. Now, I'll say one thing in this book, you don't really get any new information about the Empire. All the info in this book is stuff that's been mentioned in other content. But if you don't consume all Star Wars content, there might be some new information here. So if you don't read all the books, there might be some info that you'll learn. Video games, movies, the TV series, everything is drawn from to supply the information in this book about how the Empire rose, how it worked when it was the governing body, and why it fell. Absolutely fascinating, and I hope we get more books written like this in the Star Wars book canon, written by people who are characters within the Star Wars galaxy, but kind of writing in non-fiction style. For somebody like me, that is the ideal book. I absolutely love this. So I'd love getting like a book like this every year. It'd be absolutely amazing. So highly, highly, highly recommend The Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire by Dr. Chris Kempshall. And for all these books I've mentioned, I've done reviews for on my channel, so if you want to check those out, just peruse my old reviews. I will link my review to The Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire some up here towards the end of the video, so please check that review out if you'd like to learn more about that video, or that book I should say. But I hope you enjoyed this review back of my favorite Star Wars books I read in 2024. Let me know in the comment section below, what was your favorite Star Wars book that you read in 2024? Definitely like to see what everybody else enjoyed in the previous year in regard to Star Wars books. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you haven't, please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate support. Thanks for watching. I'll see you the next time. Happy reading, and may the Force be with you.